You are now listening to the Brothers and Lovers Podcast. Welcome.
Come on. Stand up, rise up, rise. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite. Cause they gonna fight.
Shall I stand by my brother's side? If he wrong, I should tell him why. Enter battle, we shall ride. Let the world feel our battle cry.
Stand up, rise up, rise. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite. Cause they gonna fight. Stand up, rise up. What you gonna do about it? Get your mind up. How you gonna move about it? Get your shoulders right. And you get right to it, and we unite.
Welcome, gentlemen. I'm your host for the evening. I go by the name Off City. I would like to welcome everybody to the Brothers and Lovers Podcast, episode 12, where I ask my panel of brothers to bring their love for their children, our love for our family, and our love for our community. Mix some passion in that, sprinkle some facts to the uncomfortable conversations. Y'all know what time it is. Let's salute the two brothers that's right here tonight, Damo and Brother Hall. Y'all know. But tonight on my panel, I got my brother Larry.
Yo, what it do, man? I'm happy and blessed to be here, still a part of this panel, man. Kicking it one more day. All glory be to God. Let's get into it. King Noah, Elijah, I love it.
Forward to getting into it tonight. We've had some great weeks, but just ready to get started, brother.
Yes. Okay. All right, tonight on the show, I want to talk about how we got through our depressions. Because we've been talking, the last two shows, we've been talking about being in depressions, the signs of depressions. Let's talk about how to get out of depressions, or steps you take to get out of depression. Or at least me and Larry, how we got out of our depressions. All right? Larry, I'll let you go first because you did start it off. So how did you get out of your depression? What the steps you took? What was the first step to start the ball rolling?
Wow. Man, that's a good question. First, the first thing I would say is acknowledging. Just acknowledging where, what doesn't feel normal or what normal essentially even is at that time for me, like what it was. You know what I'm saying? What I noticed that in that place where you like in your deepest, darkest, you really believe that you want help. But the criticism, I think, at that moment is the hardest thing to take because it's coming from a place of love from everyone who's around you, seeing you fall into that hole, but it doesn't feel like love because you want to hear what you want to hear. So for me, it took me, and let me be clear to the world, to you brothers who's listening, like it's day to day. Like there's no real like this kumbaya coming to a moment where you just like out of it. You know what I'm saying? Every day you have to reaffirm to yourself, you know what I mean? Like today's going to be a day that I conquer. You know what I'm saying? Like today is going to be a great day. That reaffirmation of that positive energy to yourself is a day-to-day thing. But the initial hit, just acknowledging like where I'm at. I had to acknowledge where I'm at. Like, yo, I'm not good. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not good and I know I'm not good. And I can tell because the things that I love to do, I no longer want to do. The things that, the people that I love, I no longer want to see or talk to. I don't want to be bothered. I want to sit in a dark room. And I just had to change that. You know what I'm saying? I had to just tell myself, you know what? No, everything isn't great, but I'm breathing. No, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I could be somewhere worse. So I had to change my perception and ultimately change my perspective of how I view life. You know what I'm saying? Like half full or half empty. Clearly half full is a heck of a lot better than looking at things half empty. You know what I mean? So, and from beginning to end, even up until this very day. And I think that this goes without saying, but prayer. If you don't do nothing else, if you do nothing else, and I don't care if you don't know how to pray or you don't know who to pray to, sit in a room and talk to somebody. Sit in a room, go into a corner. It might feel like you're talking to thin air. It might, but somebody is listening. There is a power greater than us that is listening. And that was what my motivation was. You know what I mean? When I actually, had to sit in a facility for 30 days away from my family, away from my son, you know what I'm saying? In that moment, I had to sit, and a lot of nights I spent by myself, in a room, just reading my Bible, praying. I didn't know what scripture to read, so I would just say, Lord, send me to what you want me to hear. And I'd read it, and I just took a step out. I took a step outside of what felt regular. Regular was sitting in a dark room by myself, crying, weeping by myself, trying to figure out what was me, being a victim, victimizing myself.
Okay.
So I went the other way, and I said, you know what? I can victimize myself, but I can't save myself. But I can get the ball rolling by just saying today doesn't have to be like yesterday. If that answers the question, and I take it from there, City.
No, it does. I basically I'm gonna feed off of what you said. Because it's the truth. You do take it day by day. That's how I take it. Me, what I do, how I got the ball rolling is after I spoke to Brother Harb after the first conversation me and him had, and everything was starting to go. I started going. I started on a journey. For me, it was a journey of mind, body, and soul. I wanted to strengthen all three and getting them all back in line, because I personally felt when all my chakras was in line, I was a problem to the world, to anybody. I could get anything I want to get done, and everything I wanted to get done, I could achieve. And that made me focus. Because when I'm body mind, I started going to the gym, so that got my body right. I started praying more. That got my mind right, and my spirit. I just started putting accolades around me. And my room, I have every wall has an accolade that I read every morning to help me get through it. I also started meditating too. Just, like I said, just to stay focused, just to try and keep my chakras, to align my chakras in order. And like you did say, I dropped the victim mentality or the victim mindset, if it made sense. Like I stopped saying, oh well, I can't do this, or well, this is not gonna happen for me, or what's the point of this? It just become, why not? Like, and that's always been ever since then, it's always been my thing. Why can't I do this? What's stopping me? What's holding me back? Like, you know what I mean? And when you start thinking like that, you start realizing the only things that's really holding you back is just mental. And that's what I personally really believe is it's a lot more mental than anything. Like it's so crazy. I was talking to my cousin this weekend, and I was telling him, I'm like, because we was talking, and he's trying to start his own his cleaning company and his clothing line, and his issues was always me and him talking, he was like, yo, I don't have the money. I can't do nothing because I don't have the money. And I'm talking to him like, yo, take the money out the equation. Then what's your issue? He's like, yeah, I can do everything, but I don't have the money. And I'm like, so how do you go around not having money? You know what I mean? How do you go around getting what you need without having this? If you know this is what you need, but you don't need it to succeed, then what's going to stop you? And just saying that. And that's how I always look at everything now. Like, I always look at it like, all right, if I don't feel like, some days it's a couple days, but there's days I don't feel like, I still feel like going into that dark place and not coming out. You wake up, it happens still. But instead of that, like I said, I do look at my accolades and I do like, why can't I get up today? Like, why can't I make today better than I did yesterday? And that helps me out. That's how I started getting over it. And I feel, like I said before, I do feel better about myself, and I do feel good because I'm not in that place, and I see where I came from that place. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. I do a lot of reflection of myself, of self-reflection. Self-reflection, I feel, is the key to a lot of stuff, because you can't lie to yourself. You can, but you don't feel good when you lie to yourself, if it makes sense. You can lie to everybody, say this, say that, but when you lie to yourself, it's a different feeling. So with me, I never lied to myself. I always told myself the truth. So like I said, just self-reflection and talking to myself and getting through the little hurdles I need to get through, that's always helped me out. You know,
City, let me throw something out, because you just both of y'all touched on something that I wanted to hit. You said lie to yourself. I would call it denial. Same thing. But and then earlier, the question we started out talking about coming out of depression, and what Brother Larry said was people coming at you at a place of love. So the way I want to connect these two ideas is that sometimes it's not out of a place of love. When folks, family, friends come at you, it's not out of a place of love. Sometimes it could be out of a place of ignorance. And what I mean is that, folks, you're in a real situation and folks are coming at you like, come on, man up, get yourself together. They're saying things, not realizing that this is just as serious of an issue as somebody with any other health issue, because that's what it is. Whether we're talking about mental health, this is just as serious as somebody who's having any other type of medically diagnosed issue, because this can be medically diagnosed as well.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, how do you avoid not lying to yourself or being in denial when there are people who are coming at you not out of a place of love? How do you start that journey then when you're saying, I just don't feel right? And maybe you're trying to be honest with yourself, but other folks won't let you be honest with yourself. They're like, oh man, you good, man. Just, snap out of it. You man up. How do you then start the journey when those people, they're putting stumbling blocks in front of you? And let me just step back one more time. Maybe it is out of a place of love, but it's also from a place of ignorance. They love you, but they're ignorant as to what they're going through. So I don't want to say they're intentionally doing something to hinder you, but I want to know, how do you deal with that? To start the journey.
If I could touch that real quick, Brother Ron, man, I tell you, you opened up so many different avenues for this conversation with just that line of question, and I would love to, if I can. So for me, I've been in that place where you have to discern what is coming from a loving place and what is ignorance. And believe it or not, unfortunately, most times, for at least in my situation, from what I've experienced, they're both one and the same, because the person that loves you doesn't really know what it is you're experiencing. So they're going to say a bunch of things. They're going to give you the loving perspective, and then they're going to give you the perspective, the very humanistic, very biased opinion as well, where it's like, come on, man, I've known you for forever. That can't be a problem. You know where we done been? You know what we done dealt with? I know that. I know you ain't telling me that that's what it is. Man, we done been through way more stuff. And they can't relate because they don't understand how you got there. And even when they were there,
Brother Larry, when somebody come at you like that, when you're in that place, that dark place, don't you almost go, yeah, you right, man. We done did it all.
I'm gonna tell you. So not for nothing, I'm gonna tell you. So it all depends on where you are in that dark place. Because if you haven't committed to the acknowledgement of that dark place, like, I am here, something is wrong. Like, if you haven't committed to that understanding of it, then you're gonna flip flop a bunch of times. You're gonna be like, nah, I'm good. You know what? You're right. Keep the party going. I'm all right. Let's keep it going. We good. I'm good. And then you're gonna fall deeper.
Yeah.
What you realize is this, though. This is where it gets spooky. If you're lucky, you'll catch it right at that pivotal moment before you fall into a hole too far for you to see up. So most times what we see on television, in our family, where they just fall off the deep end, you don't catch it. You find yourself only realizing how bad you are when those people are no longer around. because now they can't take it.
Yeah.
They like, I don't know what's going on with Larry, but he tripping. Now the same people who were saying you good, now they like, nah, you tripping. But here's the kicker: they're still not acknowledging the problem you told them that you have. They have a laundry list of a bunch of problems. Oh, you acting wild, you uncontrollable, you emotional, you everything, you angry, you don't smile no more, you just an angry person, you ruining life, you throwing opportunities. Like now the list, but did we never get back to remember that conversation that I had with you, brother Ron, when I told you I wasn't good? I told you I wasn't good. I told you that I felt like something wasn't right. And you told me, no, you good. You don't got a drinking problem. That ain't your man. We've been drinking for years. You've been like that. You've been wild. All of a sudden now you think you got a problem because you a little bit wilder. No, that's not what it is. I feel it. Like something in me feels broken. Like I'm foggy. I'm cloudy. Nothing matters anymore. It's not fun. I'm out of touch. That's different. So to answer your question, when you're met with that degree of ignorance, like for me, I was on that roller coaster. I did have the people that was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you got to drink? You ain't no alcoholic. What are you talking about? You just need to leave that person alone or leave these people alone. Come get with me.
Yep.
Why you ain't called me?
Yep.
I was right there with you. Why you ain't called me? I would have been right there. You ain't never by yourself. You my brother. You could have called me. I got you. And then guess what? When you call them, they got either just as many problems as you, or they offering you the same gun with the same bullet with the same name on it, which is yours.
Yep. I'm gonna feed off of that.
Go ahead, City. Take it on.
I'm gonna feed off of that. With me, it was I was chilling with a person, right? Like I told you before, I was feeding off of negative energy. Somebody who I knew wasn't as happy as life as me. With me, I started seeing him going through what I was going through, and I tried to reach out. Brother Hob can sit there and tell you, I'm not gonna say the name, but I put him on the phone tons of time with Brother Hob. I told him to come to the gym with me. Because I was gonna not feed, but I was like, all right, we gonna do this together. We both going through this, and we saying we not doing it. We saying it's not an issue, but I'm seeing it is an issue. Me seeing over it like, oh, this is a problem for both of us. But the thing I noticed with the dude was he didn't really care. He was happy where he was at. He didn't want to move up. He was content with a bottle and a bag. That's the motto. He was like, I got a bottle in the bag, I'm good. So and seeing that made me pull, like I told you before, I pulled more to people I know who genuinely just love me, who genuinely just wanted me to be a better me. And when I started pulling to those people more, I get more power for that. You know what I mean? Like when the days I get down, they give me a little bit more power. Or, the days I didn't want to go to the gym when I started going, hey, you go to the gym today? Like, and those conversations sound so crazy, but the fact that a person was like, yo, did you go to the gym today? Oh, did you go to the Bible study this evening? Like stuff like that. Like you're checking on me, but you're not really checking on me. I felt it was super important to me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh snap, okay, this person wants me to get better. And like I said, I sort of dropped the dude I was chilling with before, who, when I was in that dark place, and who felt the dark place was home. So, with that, like I said, it pulls me toward it. When you feel that, when you know that you're not in a right spot for you, because that's what it really is. You have to make sure you are right. But when you notice that you're not right, you start moving. You come to the crossroads. You even ask, do you want to continue down this road, or you don't want to go down this road? You know what I mean? And it's really how you ask yourself and talk to yourself. Like I said before, you can't lie to yourself. If you want to go down that road, you could go down that road. That road is easy to go down. But if you're trying to get help, this road is going to be a little bit more difficult. You know what I mean?
Yo, not for nothing. If I could just say this last thing, because I should have said this earlier, but not for nothing. To answer the other question, you City, your first question was, how did you come out of it? And then Brother Ron, you referenced just the people who come at you with the ignorant help that they don't really know, or you don't know what angle they're coming at you with. So if I could just put this out there, if I could be transparent as I try to be all the time. One of the things that I didn't mention was when I was transitioning to a place to want to get better, the one thing that was so prominent in my life at the moment was the destruction that I was leaving behind everywhere I touched, everything I touched.
Yeah.
So I necessarily wasn't hurting. And I say that figuratively. Like I was broken, I was hurting, but it wasn't until I started seeing the destruction that I was leaving behind. I was not only destroying the people who were rooting for me, but those who were present in that moment that loved me, for right, wrong, or indifferent. I see the pain that I was causing through my action. And it wasn't until I had already broken, the stick was broken, the bridge was burned, the relationship was already in turmoil. It wasn't until those times, as I was approaching those moments. So most times we try to look for the positives as we hit this hurdle, we overcome that, things get better. We hit this. No, my hurdles were the opposite. I destroyed this. I broke that. I hurt him. I hurt her. I hurt them. And it was in that I was like, wait a minute. There's no way that I can be all right if I'm hurting people and not be able to acknowledge it. Like to hurt someone and not feel anything behind hurting someone that you care about, there is something wrong. It's one thing to mistakenly hurt someone, accidentally do something that you thought in your mind was the right thing, and then you did it, and then it turns out to be the wrong thing, and then you don't feel anything. Those were the moments that really propelled me to be like, okay, do you have space on that couch for me? Get your notepad out. I need somebody to hear this. I need somebody to listen to, because the people that I would talk to, they're broken because I'm broken. When they say hurt people,
that's the truth.
They mean that. That's a true, living, breathing statement. Hurt people. The thing that we as human beings get twisted is we're giving people the wrong message when we say hurt people. Not all hurt people intentionally hurt people. Some people are walking around hurt and don't know the true essence of how much they're hurting. They don't even know that they're hurting the people that they're hurting. And when they hear it, in the midst of my own pain, when I'm hearing you tell me that I'm hurting you, I'm saying, but what about me? What about me? How could I be hurting you when I'm so broken? How do you want me to pay attention to pain that you're feeling when I'm crying out for help?
I have so much pain on my shoulders. Yep.
I have so much on me, in me, and quiet as kept, a part of me is blaming you for not even knowing.
Yep.
How could you love me and not know my pain? How could you love me and not see my pain? You know how? Because I can't answer you as to what's hurting either. I'm looking for you to do something that I, in essence, can't even do for myself. When you get there, you have a choice. You can either sit, soak, and die, or you can sit, admit, and then get help. Sit and admit, and then just humble. I'm already broken. How much farther down can I go? There's no humility left. There is no ego. There's no ego in brokenness. If you truly want to be helped. If ego exists in your brokenness, the next step is death. Whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, there's a death coming. That are you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, I was going to say, No, Harv, you go ahead. I hadn't heard you, man. Brother, it's good to see you, brother. Go
Brother
ahead.
Harv back on the panel. Everybody salute him. He came in, but go ahead.
yeah, I was working, and so that's why I came in late because I was working.
We love to have you. We love that you on the panel. That's it.
Hey, thank you, brother. And excuse me, I'm driving as I'm talking, so please, if you don't see me, it's only because I'm driving. But I just want to say that, I really appreciate what y'all saying because you're speaking to my life. Man, when I was out there drinking and drugging, it's interesting when you're out there drinking and drugging and everybody around you is drinking and drugging because nobody knows that they broke it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like you think you're having a good time. But the world is for not the world, but your world is collapsing right before you. You know what I'm saying? And everybody around you is sick and they're suffering and they're being destructive and self-destructive and destructive towards, other people. And I know for me, I was being destructive and didn't realize I was being destructive. And then I realized, this is no longer fun for me. This is no longer, I'm no longer drinking and drugging because I'm partying. I'm drinking and drugging because there's pain and suffering. And so I'm trying to cover up the pain and suffering. This is why I'm drinking and drugging. Mm-hmm. And then it got to a point where I started, if you will, I started creating situations so that I can drink and drug.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's when I realized, brother, and then I never forget my daughter, my youngest daughter. Yeah, my youngest daughter. I was in the store and I used to smoke cigarettes. I went and bought me a pack of cigarettes, put a cigarette in my mouth, and my daughter, she had gotten these candy cigarettes. And she said, "Look, Daddy, I'm being just like you." That floored me, brother. That floored me because it was like, what am I telling? What am I showing my kids? I realized I'm teaching my kids how to be destructive. And so, at that point, that's when my journey to self-improvement began. And it took me some years because, it didn't just happen. I had to go through that process. I had to fall down a number of different times. And I didn't mind, I fell down, but I got back up. But here's the interesting thing about it. I had to separate myself from the people that I love. And the reason why I had to do that was because some of these people that I love was helping me to stay sick. They were helping me to stay in that pain and that suffering. And like Larry said earlier, they didn't even realize that they was doing it. It's like, we all live like this. So for them, for us, it was natural at one point. And at another point, I realized it was no longer natural. So, it is so funny. One of the brothers that I was drinking and drugging with, he in turn was like, I went to rehab. And he told me about this rehab, and I went to rehab. But the thing was, the difference was, he relapsed. Me, I sat in front of the classroom, brother, because it was like a 30-day rehab, and they had classes. I sat in front of the classroom because I didn't want no distraction. And not only did I get the tools, but I used to do tools. That was back in 87. Here it is, 2022, and I'm still using those tools today. Because you know what? Sobriety is not a given. Sobriety is work. Like life is work. Like love is work. Like honor is work. Being a man is work. Being a woman is work. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a code of conduct that if we choose to be successful in whatever endeavor we're in, that we have to honor. And it always requires work. And that work never ceases. It just, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up so much time. But yeah, brother.
No, you good. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah. Yeah,
I want to say, Harv, I want to say.
650. No.
Go
ahead. Whatever. 650.
You said.
Go ahead, brother.
You said something that was real powerful. You said you step away from things you love or people that you love, and that's not easy because let's talk. If this is some guy that you met and you just started hanging out with him and you realize we got destructive behavior, it's easier to step away from him. But I'm talking about, we were talking about earlier with folks who, at lack of understanding or ignorance, don't understand what you're going through, and they're giving you bad advice. The man up, you'll be all right. You ain't never been, you've been through worse before. And so my point is, these people who have been there giving you great advice in the past. That's why we love them. You value what they say. It's just that this time they're wrong. They just don't understand, lack of education, don't really understand how serious mental health or substance abuse issues can be, that it's just as serious as anything else that people go through. So how do you recognize that, wow, and a relationship doesn't matter. It could be a parent, a sibling, hell, it could be a spouse. I mean, it's just that in this situation, you step away from that person. You know what I mean?
So I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, you got brother like that. I'll come back after you.
I was just gonna say something real quick. You wouldn't go to the dentist if you had the flu, and you wouldn't go to the doctor, your PCP, if you had a toothache. You understand? So my point in saying that is that in that space, you being real with yourself, you gotta know that if what the person that you love is saying is not helping the situation, like I know I've come to a place where I'm acknowledging something isn't right. And here you are telling me I'm okay. That in itself is an issue. That right there. That means that you can't connect to what I'm telling you. It doesn't mean that your word isn't valued. It doesn't mean, because I would hope that you would say that I'm okay. That's essentially what I want you to say. And a part of me wants to believe it because of the validity of the relationship that we have. So I'm trusting that you're not going to tell me something that's going to be false or not helpful. However, accountability on my end requires me to say, hold on. As much as I want to believe that wrong, much as I want to believe that city, I hear what you're saying, bro, but that's not registering. Something just don't feel right. Something just still don't feel right. Like, I hear what you're saying. I know we've been through a lot. I know we've been in the trench together. I know we done been through all of this together, A through Z. And you see me climb out the mud. We've been in the mud together. I feel you. But this right here feels like nothing I ever felt. And I can't fight this with fists. This is not a fist fight. This is not something that I can just go to sleep on. This ain't that. And I hear what you're saying, bro, but in the meantime, in between time, I'm gonna have to check out and fall back. Now, whether or not you physically voice that or you just make it happen, most times you're not gonna voice it because you also don't want to make the person that's giving you this advice feel like there's been a shift in your relationship to where they're no longer of any value to you. So, unfortunately, the easiest thing for you to do to not add stress to yourself is to just fall back, because to verbally express it, it's going to add on an additional stress, because now you got to battle with them as to when they calling like, yo, why you ain't answering my calls? Yo, after that last conversation we had, I feel like you acting different with me. Nah, you got to go cold turkey. It's like going on a diet. I got to go on a diet from you because what I need to eat right now, you ain't a part of that meal. You're not serving up the right thing. I got to go all the way cold turkey. So to your point, once again, to your question, like how do you do it in pain? You got to ask yourself, which is the lesser of the two evils? Because everything you lose in that moment, some of those losses can be restored. But if you stay on that path, some of those losses will be permanent. So you got to think about everything you do in that moment. Every decision you make will be written in pain. I can't talk to my mother right now because what she's telling me, it's not working. I can't talk to my dad right now because he's trying to give me strong man talking. Right now, I'm a broken little boy. I can't hear that. I can't talk to my wife or my lady because although she loves me, she not understanding. And in that, sometimes that dark place, that dark lies, how you have to separate yourself. Because what people don't understand about an addiction or dependence, as great as God made us, there has to be a balance. So when you get to a place where there is something in your life that can destroy you, that is only God trying to take you somewhere different. When he separates you and he pulls you out from among everybody, because he gave you the people who gonna hate you. He gave you the people who gonna love you. He gave you the people who gonna stand by you. So for you to have to be removed from those people, please understand that it's a God thing. It's God saying, yes, I placed this here so that I could do this now, so that later you'll be this. It's written in pain. Every bit of growth in my 39 years has been written in pain. Pain. Your growth will be written in pain. Your perception of that pain is on you. And with that, I yield.
Hey, I just, all I can say is that, you know, last week, 2 weeks ago when we were having that conversation, you know, with your dad, I totally get it. You know, I used to drink and drug with my dad, you know, and when I decided I'm no longer drinking and drugging, you know, he was one of the persons that I had to step away from, you know, and I mean, brother, there were, in fact, not just him, but there were other family members that I had to step away from, you know, and I'm not gonna say that I was okay with it, but I was okay with it because my sobriety became my priority, you know, and I know for me, I can only speak for me, that when I decided that my sobriety was gonna be my priority, that means I had to eliminate people, places, and things, and I was okay with that, you know. But it didn't come easy, you know what I'm saying? It was a process. In fact, there was a young lady that I was dating before I went into rehab. When I came out of rehab, I thought we was gonna be cool until she decided. I asked her for some water, and she put gin in my cup or vodka. It was crazy. And guess what? That day was the last day I ever spoke to that woman because it was just like, you trying to hurt me, you trying to kill me. And so here's the thing: how we get through that, as Larry said, it's still through. You got to go through be willing to go through the pain, be willing to go through the suffering of growth and development. I've learned that I had to be willing to be uncomfortable because, you know, what we want to do with ease, what we desire to do with ease, we must first learn to do with diligence. And so, you know, when we start talking about addiction or whatever it is, you know, if we want to change that behavior, we have to be diligent in our approach and be mindful of every moment, of every second of that moment in trying to get things together. Because if we're not, we'll find ourselves falling back into what's easy, what's comfortable. And those things that are easy and comfortable are oftentimes self-destructive when we're trying to, you know, come out of an addiction or break a pattern that is unhealthy for us. And on that, I yield. Thank you.
I'm a feed off of that. You said when somebody don't know brother Ron, that happened. I didn't cut the person off. Well, I'm be honest, it was my mother. She just didn't. I just felt she just didn't understand as a man, if it made sense. The stuff she was telling me, I believed in what she said. It just didn't work for me. Why? Because we're two different people, and I noticed a lot of the OGs who I used to hang out with too as well. They have that. It's nothing wrong with it, but they have a different mindset. You know, it's a, oh, you're gonna get over it. Don't worry about it. It ain't nothing. And when it was going on and all this, it just didn't feel right to me. they would pat me, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay, you're gonna get through this, everybody goes through this, da-da-da-da. And yeah, that's true, but like you said, it just didn't feel right to me. The information or the stuff the tools they was trying to give to me to get through it, it didn't help me. You know what I mean? Like I would take it, I would try and see if I could maneuver it to make it work, but it just didn't work for me. So I had to take what I can and go find what I needed, if it makes sense. And that's another reason why at the time, Brother Harv could tell you, me and him was continuously talking. He was continuously helping me, showing me stuff I needed to know and how to get through it and what you need to do and this and that. But when people are naive and they're not naive, they're not understanding. It's just, like I said, you just take what you can and use what you can with it. You know what I mean? But it's always, it's on you. You have to get the tools. You have to use the tools. So.
But my point is, I'm glad you said that because that's your mother. Mm-hmm. She, day one. If there's ever was a day one, it's your mother. It's day one. And she don't, mothers don't make it a habit of giving you bad advice. And you never question that they're coming from a point of love. But it seems that in that situation, it seems like it would be very easy to go, you know what, she's right. I'm tripping. I just need to, do X, Y, and Z and I'm going to be good. It seems like it would be it seems like it would be the norm to just fall back and then, as Brother Larry said, maybe fall deeper into a hole.
Yeah.
Versus saying, now, Mom, I love you, but you're just not right on this one. I need some more help. I got to go somewhere else. And I'm going to have to, at least as far as this issue is concerned, step away from you on that and move forward. So, I mean, to me, it's just not like, it just doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? It seems like it's more, gosh, you got to be so sick and tired that you're sick and tired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of where you're at and saying, no, this is not the way. When to me, it's easier to just kind of fall deeper into that hole because you're trusting those that have genuine love for you. Yeah. And it's hard to see that they're just not able to understand what you're going through at that particular moment. So how did you draw that distinction and then move forward?
Well, like I said, it just didn't feel right. Like I did try what she said. You know what I mean? I did do what she told me. Hey, you need to do this. Just do this. But it wasn't feeling right to me. I still felt low, if it made sense. Like I still felt like it wasn't going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like I'm a person, at least if I'm taking a step, I could feel the step. And at the time, I couldn't feel no steps. I couldn't feel nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, nah, this is just not working. I tried, but it just didn't feel right to me. It didn't sit right in my soul to me. So it was like, all right, I need to go find somewhere else. I need to search to get this feeling off of me. You know what I mean? Like the old saying, to get this monkey off of my back, I need to get him off. Like, you know what I mean? I need to be free of him. And like I said, that started my journey. Just, all right, this is, and it before I even started, it was a sit down, and it was a sit down. I'm not even gonna lie, it was a sit down. It was a sit. I was laying on the bathroom floor, just laying down on the bathroom floor, and I'm just sitting there like, yo, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? And I understand, I'm in my grandmother's house at this time too, so you know what I mean. So I'm just laying there like, yo, what is I need to get better. Like I want better. I can't be like this. You know what I mean? And then from there, like I said, it's just building, like taking one little step and the first little step. All right, I need to cut this person off. All right, I need to start thinking like this. Or you know what I mean? And like I said, it was a journey to me to get all my chakras back in line, if it made sense. You know what I mean? And that's just I'm still on that journey. I'm still trying to get my chakras in line. I don't feel I'm somewhat in line, but I want to be that glow, if it makes sense. And I'm not that glow yet, but I know I'm working towards that glow. My light is getting brighter and brighter every day because my motto is I want to be a better person every day than I was the day before. So that's how I did it.
So
if I may add something, if I may add something, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. This is my personal experience. When I was out there drinking and drugging, you know, as I said, I had family members on both sides, moms and pops, hanging. You know what I'm saying? But I can only say for me, when I decided to go to rehab, and then you know, going through you know like the NA program and stuff like that, I would share that information. I wouldn't impose, but I would share that information, and I was consistent. And some of my family members, one in particular, you know, we would butt heads a lot because at the time they wasn't ready to hear it. But over time, what ended up happening because I was consistent and they saw my persistence, not imposing on them. I'm just saying, they just saw my life getting better as I, you know, embraced this program. They saw my life getting better as I utilized these tools. At one point, they decided, you know what? Maybe I need to consider this, and they did. And I'm glad to say that some 30 years later, they still on that sobriety path, and I'm very, very happy that you know they chose to live that life on their own. You know what I'm saying? It's not because I did a whole lot. I just gave them the information, and they had to choose it. You know what I'm saying? At some point, we all got to choose. Larry said it earlier. At some point, we all got to choose. Do we want to live, or do we want to die? And on that, I yield.
if I can, so for me, like, I didn't make a decision to like go get help or anything. I was more or less forced into mine. You know, if just really quick before you get off, City, because I know you're gonna have to go. Like, I don't know if I shared this before, but you know, I didn't exactly know how far in I was, and here's how crazy it is, right? I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how bad it was. But I also knew something had to be wrong if I'm waking up, going to my bathroom floor, and crying over the tub to ask God to remove whatever's going on away. Take the desire of whatever I'm trying to drown out. And at the moment, I thought it was just drinking. So I'm begging God morning after morning, will you just remove the taste from my mouth? I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun. It don't feel good, but I know something's wrong. And yet it didn't stop. And then my career is on the line. My family is on the brink of being just demolished. And I was more or less placed. I say that to say, when you ask, how do you know? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do. You know something is off. Sometimes you're praying for one thing, and God's going to show you that it's something else that's happening. And I'm praying to have alcohol removed, when really I'm just broken. I'm a 30-something-year-old man living out my little boy years of what was and what wasn't. And I'm trying to drown out every lack, everything that I'm lacking. The point to sum up is, there are some pains that are normal, that are just like everyday, just everyday annoyances. And you don't even consider them pains, frustration, pains, things that anger you, things that make you just be like, oh, not today. Just, Lord, let me get an easy day. And then there are some things that make you sit down and be like, something has to be done. Addiction, dependency takes you to those places where something has to be done, because your survival, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, are all on the line. For me, I needed, City, easy, bro, love you. For me, it was for me, it was one of those things where I know I wanted help. I wasn't prepared for how it would come. So to the things that you were asking, brother Ron, like, how do you know when you get the ignorant, the naive information, the response, the help that comes from a place of ignorance, not maliciously, but sometimes maybe maliciously, but sometimes it's not maliciously, just a place where the person is just ignorant to the fact of what it is you're dealing with. To be honest, man, like, sobriety is a selfish walk, because it's just me. It's just for me. Like, you, in essence, can't really help me with that. Like, that's a me thing. You can support me, and understand support and help are two different things. Help is like somebody can't get up out their seat, so you grab them by the arm, you help them stand up. Support is I'm already standing and I'm a little wobbly, so you just let your shoulder lean up against mine so that I won't fall in that direction. There's a big difference. Most people want to help. They try to help you, and they don't understand that they can't help you. You can't help me. You can support me, but in supporting me, I have already had to come to a place to make a decision. I needed to have already been in a place to receive help or support from any direction, in any sense. So you can't do anything for me until I'm willing. And with that, I yield.
So let's, we're going to be running out time,
Yeah,
short, but
yes.
let's just be clear. Let's wrap up a little bit. And we started this conversation talking about coming out of a bad place, and the first thing what I'm hearing is a recognition is the first step. Recognizing you're in a bad place, and then you just said you had to make a decision or desire. You recognize it, you make a decision, desire. You also talked about spirituality as far as maybe through prayer. But what would you say is next? And then, as we wrap up, because we started this conversation telling people we're going to talk about coming out of this bad place, and we hit on 3. Is there anything else that one must do?
Work. So you got to work. You got to put the work in. If you're not going to get it sitting at Big Mama house having a kumbaya with the family. There are people who are designated. Go sit down. I know it's uncomfortable. We don't, especially in our culture, we think psychologists, psychiatrists, all of that. We think that means that we're crazy or something's wrong with us. There's nothing more liberating than speaking to someone who's completely unbiased. Sit down and talk through it. Talk through it. They give you the steps. These people are trained. Go sit down, put in the work every day. It's baby steps. Every day, put in the work. Take a different step. It's one day at a time. I would encourage anyone, whether you believe something is wrong with you, not wrong with you, you think everything is grand old derriere, that's fine. Go tell somebody about it. Self-check is the best check you ever going to do. Checking in with you, where you at, what you're feeling, how you're doing. That would be the last tool that I would encourage anybody to take and run with. Work at it. Put in the work. Don't think that you're just going to stay on a straight and narrow path forever without any assistance, because we all need someone. We all need that listening ear, that shoulder, and sometimes relying on the circle that you have always functioned in might not be it. The unbiased opinion, for me personally, has always been the best opinion, because they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. Whether there's judgment or not, that's not their job. Their job is to hear it and give me what they deem is ultimately the best advice to push me through. And in my experience, that has been what has worked. Because someone who loves you, they can give you an unbiased opinion, but it's not going to be 100%. A lot of it, some of that's going to be intertwined with love for you, and that love makes their opinion compromised. So if I had to say anything, work. For me, I've sat down in many rooms, many different circles. It helps. It helps. Self-check, do a check-in. And it don't have to be for life. It could be once in the blue. Or even if I consider you, Brother Ron, if I thought that you were a righteous mind to speak to. Hey, brother, you got a minute? Just wanted to share with you what my day was like. I got something going on. But be honest with yourself. Honesty with yourself. Know that you can't call everybody. That's why I said you got to put in the work. If it's AA, NA, whatever it might be, check in with people who understand. Don't just find the person you're comfortable with. Get out of your comfort zone. Do what's uncomfortable so that you can live. And with that, I yield.
All right, Brother Harv, we need to hear from you, man. We're running out of time.
Ultimately, what it comes down to is this, brother. I concur with everything that Brother Larry said. You know, it comes to doing the work. I think that when it comes down to, well, for me, what it came down to was that I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of the pain and suffering. You know what I'm saying? I got sick and tired of not being able to rely on myself. I got sick and tired of disappointing myself and disappointing the people around me. And then, and I'm gonna tell you something. You know, I went to church and I sought help through church, and it didn't help me. I went through acupuncture, it didn't help me. I went through short-term rehab a couple times. Once I went through the short-term rehab thing, it didn't help. You know, so I will say that if we want help, we got to figure out what kind of help we need, what kind of help works for us, and then understand that this is a process. This is not something that's going to happen, you know, right away. For some people, it might happen right away, but for some of us, you start the process, you fall down, but you get back up. You keep getting back up, you know. And so for me, when I found the rehab that I went to, it worked for me because it offered the tools. And as I said earlier, I'm not just able to, but I use those tools each and every day to this day. It's been over 30 years, you know, since I've had my sobriety, but I still use those tools every day because guess what? Life doesn't stop happening, and life doesn't change just because we change. Life continues, and situations happen, and that's why we get the tools. We get the tools so that we know how to deal with life and live life on life's terms. And on that, I yield.
Thank you, brothers. You know, on behalf of Off City who had to leave, we definitely want to wish him safe travel. But I just want to say, just to echo the sentiments of my brothers. You know, we talked about recognizing the desire, spiritual, and as the brothers just said, you got to put in the work, and you're putting in the work. And what Harvey just said is you got to stay on that path. So when you're doing the work, stay on that path. It's so much riding on you staying on that path, and it doesn't sound like it may be a smooth path. There's going to be some setbacks and delays, and you fall back sometimes, but you stay on that path and get to where you need to go. So that being said, on behalf of the Brothers Lovers Podcast, we want to thank everyone for coming out and enjoying and sharing with us. On behalf of Off City who had to roll, we wish him safe travels back home. Harlem, he's on his way back. And also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, PM Prosperity, Star City Cleaning, Crosby Legal, Tough Stuff, Productions, and A Father's Vision. And with that, we're going to turn it back over to the man behind the scenes, Brother Alonso. Take us away, brother. Peace and love.
Stand up, rise up. What you gonna do?